yeah, I don't know. It doesn't have to be outlandish all the time. I think there just needs to be a balance.
Just FYI, that's also 50 cents advice. I heard that not too long ago about like who should plan or who should pay for the date.
No
Whoever
way.
plans it or whoever asks
Yeah,
the
that's
person
fair.
out. I just thought that was kind of interesting. So. Well, hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of The Boundless Show. This is Lisa Anderson, usually here with you, and yet again this week. So I always love hanging with you and learning the things that I do on the show. A lot of people ask me, are you just tired of doing this? And I'm like, not really, because I'm always learning something new from our roundtable guests, from our culture guests, certainly from our inbox people, because they're just straight up expert crazy. So it's all good. And so all right, here we are for our roundtable. And because we are heading into Christmas, we thought that not only for the Christmas season, but heading into the new year, we would get you some good ideas on how to make dating fun. Now, some of you are going to write to me or send me a DM, and it's going to be like, Lisa, first I have to get a date. Okay, well, we'll solve that on other shows. That's great. We do talk about that as well. But if you are asking someone out or someone has asked you out, or maybe you're in a relationship now, you might need to like pump up the fun a little bit, because sometimes we can err on the other side of just being too much about all the intel that we need to get. So I have got Bree here. I have Morgan Sandberg back. Hey, ladies.
Hey.
Good to have you. And our dear friend, Tommy Glazier. Tommy, always good to have you here.
Thanks for having me on, Lisa.
Okay. So let's talk about the things here, the situation, and I'm just going to summarize this because we got to get into practical stuff. Tommy is seriously dating. And I haven't even really evaluated this relationship yet, but I will do that in the near future and get back to y'all. He's seriously dating. Morgan is out and about dating. She's doing the things. You heard her on the previous, the women in their 30s, talking about the apps and really going after it intentionally. So that's all good. And Bree finally made a match after stalking her husband and getting him to marry her. And so she is now married and has 2 little kids. So
That's true.
But she's looking back.
Not the stalking part, though.
And you're also trying to get you're trying to get your single friends to date well too.
Yes,
so it's
I
a
am.
passion. So I think that's all great. And I'm single, occasionally dating, but I've had some interesting setups that maybe I will bring to the table here for this conversation. So, okay, let's talk about this. First up, are you more of the fun dater type? Like you just want to stay shallow, you want to have fun, you want to get to know people kind of on a surface level, or do you go pretty deep pretty quickly? You want to find out, is this person a person of character? Are we compatible? All the things. Where do you fall on that continuum?
So I would say I definitely fall more to the latter of being the more investigative dater. For me, I always kind of operated under the assumption that there isn't much of a point in dating if you don't see yourself marrying that person. Mm-hmm. And, it obviously takes time to figure that out. But I was never personally as big a fan of the just dating to have fun, So that would be my answer to that. I think I would fall much more to the, are you strong in the Lord? Do you care about your walk with God? And are you someone that I could see, continuing to grow closer to the Lord with?
Mm-hmm. That's great. Morgan, how about you?
Yeah, I love to have fun. If dating's not fun, I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
So I want to say I'm right in the middle of that continuum of character research versus having fun and staying shallow. I want to ask good questions. I want to find someone in a realm that is, okay, are they involved in the things I'm involved in? I should know some of their character from that. Mm-hmm. But if I'm not having fun, no, thank you. Don't take me.
That's fair.
So.
Okay, I hear you.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty solidly with Morgan. Just like you were saying, you can determine a lot of their character based off of even like group events. Like you don't have to be dating them in order to determine character. And so I think just seeing them in multiple spaces is really helpful. And then I agree, like, yes, you want to have fun in dating. And I think part of how I convinced my now husband to actually start dating me is that he had a mentor in his life that said, you can just have fun in dating. I mean, like, you still want to be serious about it. You still want to be loyal and faithful and have good boundaries and stuff. But it's okay to just enjoy another person's presence and to determine the things about them that you really like or the things that you don't like, and maybe consider that for your future spouse of like, oh man, I really like this about Bree, but man, this really bothers me. This might be a deal breaker, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's such a good point, because I know, Bree, you do like kind of asking good questions, and you like going a little bit deeper, and you like bringing things up. But at the same time, dating, especially in the early stages, is really for getting to know, is this something I even want to continue? Because I can have friend groups and I can do things at church and I can serve with people. But if you're actually going to date, you don't want to just experiment with a dating relationship for 3 years and then be like, no, well, we did have fun, but this wasn't going anywhere from the get-go. I mean, what in the world?
Yeah.
So I think that's a great point to think that through, because we want to have fun. We want to be intentional. We want to make sure that we're looking out for things, but also we can do that in the context of fun. So that's good. Yeah. All right. So what does it look like for, I think a lot of people, and this has come from way too many YouTube videos and outliers and all this stuff. It's all about like the grand gesture. And if I'm going to do a date, especially a first date, I better pick her up in a helicopter, or we better go awesome. Like to Bora Bora and do dinner and then come back or whatever. It's just kind of weird. It's gotten kind of weird. Or there's just the assumption that something will be happening. What are non-negotiables for making fun dating happen, and what are things that people put too much emphasis on that they really need to let go?
Okay, I have a fun wild outlier story. Okay. I was able to be set up this summer, and it was a friend of a friend of a friend, so it was kind of wild, but he chose to change his flight so he could fly into Colorado Springs to come drive me to a date, take me out to dinner, take me out to dessert, drive me around. And I was like, oh my gosh, if only I could find someone in Colorado Springs that would do even a part of that. So that was an extreme, an outlier of like, this man flew in to come and see me. What in the world? That
Though
was
maybe
incredible.
in the back of his head, he's like, I can only do this once, girl. So I'm going big. You're going home.
I know.
Yeah, no, that's great.
It was so
that's
cool.
Awesome.
But I feel like I've had like the moment on that date that I think I had the most fun was when we grabbed ice cream. We were just walking around. It's like melting all over his hands, and he like runs across the street to wipe his hands off in a sprinkler system and gets a little bit wet in the process. Like that was the most fun and the most memorable moment. And I really appreciated that silly moment where we were having fun and connecting, and that made the date super fun. Not the grand gesture. It was that simple moment of him being a little silly and me laughing hard. Like that made it really fun. So you didn't need to fly in. You didn't need to get a really nice car. You didn't need to do all that to make it a really fun date.
Well, that's good. And Tommy, to that point, do you feel the pressure as a guy to be like super fun, Mr. Fun, compete with the other guys who are dating and coming up with the next big outlier event that everyone's going to talk about? Or are you okay with just like, hey, I am who I am and this is what I'm going to do?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Morgan and Lisa. It's, being the guy in a relationship, it's like, I go into it with kind of the expectation that you're called to lead in a way. And so it's like, like have fun, but it's also like, man, is there this expectation on, do I have to compete with all these other people? Do I have to, make sure that, this girl has the time of her life? And so it's, there definitely, to your point, is that pressure. But at the same time, it is important to make sure that, you're enjoying yourself, right? And enjoying, spending time with the person, with your girl. And so for me, that was just, it's like, okay, what is something that you enjoy doing? What is something that I enjoy doing? And how, are we able to kind of make sure that we're both having fun when we go out? And so, I think there is kind of a balance where it's like, I'm enjoying this, but I'm also figuring stuff about you that, helps me out in the future of, do I want to continue to pursue this? Do I want to continue to grow closer to you? So that would be my answer to your question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely don't think that every date can be something exciting and outlandish, because ultimately, if the goal of dating is to get married, you're not going to be able to do anything outlandish or exciting every day of your marriage. So I think there needs
Unless
to be
you can make bills outlandish. I'm waiting for someone to write in about that.
Yes. But I think like there's a balance that needs to happen of like pretty mundane dates, or even just like if you're in college, doing your homework together, or going to church together, stuff like that, doing serving things, but also doing some exciting dates as well. I think when my husband and I started dating, we took turns planning dates because number one, financially, I don't I agree, yes, that men should pay for the first date. But when you are in a dating relationship, I don't think it's super kind to continuously rely on your boyfriend to keep paying because you're both in it together now. So I like the idea of balancing it. So we would take turns of like, I would plan a date and I would pay for it, or he would plan a date and he would pay for it. But like whoever was planning it was the one financing it. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't have to be outlandish all the time. I think there just needs to be a balance.
Yeah. Just FYI, that's also 50 cents advice. I heard that not too long ago about like who should plan or who should pay for the date. Whoever plans it or whoever asks the person out. I just thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah. So yeah, lots of differing opinions on that for sure. Okay, speaking of differing opinions, what about if you just don't necessarily like doing all the same things? So do you just have to write this person off? Are there some things that you're really into that you're like, this person has to be into that? Or can you have different interests and different things that you do at different times? How have you had to navigate that space of like, I just can't stand this, but she or he is so into it, and I just got to be like, oh my goodness, take one for the team. I don't know. How has that played out for you?
I definitely think that you have to at least give it a chance, at least one time. For me, that was, my husband really loves playing D&D, and I gave it a chance, and I played for like, I don't know, a couple of months. Not for me. I was like, I like eating food, but I don't want to play. So keep me for the food part. But there are also things that I enjoy that my husband doesn't do. Like I like swing dancing or partner dancing, and he has zero rhythm, and so he doesn't enjoy doing that with me. So what we've established is that we have other people that we do our favorite things with. Like it doesn't always have to be your significant other. Like I have a friend who will go dancing with me, and he has a whole group of people who will play D&D with him. But I think the big part is that you do actually have to give it a chance, because you might like it. You might not know anything about it, and who would have known if he enjoys dancing or could find rhythm if we hadn't tried, you know, something like that.
Has he ever gotten his nails done? Because that's a big passion of yours, and you always have thematic nails.
I do love getting my nails done. He will get pedicures with me. Okay. And he might have... Compromise. I don't think I've done his fingernails before, but he would let me. He doesn't care, but I don't really want to. I like to do my own nails, and I like to get pedicures, and he likes to also get pedicures.
Okay.
Nice.
So yes, you can find things that you have in common or things that you both love. Or you can just do in proximity with each other. Like I love reading, he likes to read. Or I'll be doing my nails and he'll be reading. But you can do things in proximity. It doesn't always have to be together.
I love that he's willing to try that. That's really cool. And I think that's a good point to make. Absolutely. Like, I don't love playing Frisbee, but I feel like I always date guys who love to play Frisbee.
I love
and
Frisbee.
I'm like, Callie, here's my friend Bree, play with her. So yeah, I think if you're willing to give it a try and be open and honest in communication with it, I think that's great. So, and I do know, like, there's some things I'm really passionate and excited about, and I want my person to do those things as well. If you try it with me, awesome. If you don't love it, can I talk to you about that? Can you learn to ask the right questions so that we can have communication about that? Great. I love that. So
I think that's a big part.
That is a big part, because it's like it's showing interest without having to be like all in.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it doesn't mean you can just ask some good questions or support them in doing that.
Well, and since I gave D&D a try, I now know what questions to ask. And he loves telling me about it. I might still not care, but I love him. And so I want to talk to him about the things that he loves. And so that just at least gave me a baseline to go off of.
Yeah. I dated a guy once who was just really into Germany, to the point of like he actually had gone to Germany and spent, I don't know why my stories are always just like off the rails. I feel like I'm the like, let's all be normal, and then Lisa's going to share something for the people who are so whack that they're going to feel good about this.
That's so funny.
He actually went to Germany and spent, it was like $4,500 on a complete set of lederhosen, getting it custom made for him.
Oh my gosh.
Now he is of German heritage, but I thought, one, I wasn't quite sure about that purchase price. Two, I wasn't a big fan when he like wore it in public places, but mostly around Oktoberfest. But talk about asking questions like, why are you wearing that? Was one. But anyway, that's an extreme example of maybe entering into something that, man, there are people that are into their stuff, and you have to decide, am I going to be into this enough to support that? So,
Yeah, speaking to that a little bit, resonate a lot with what you said, Bree. D&D is a blast for me, and so that's been something that my girlfriend and I have had to, we've talked about a little bit. She probably that wouldn't be her first choice. But another kind of thing that we've had fun doing together is if it's playing mini golf together, if it's she's much more intellectual, thinking about deep theology stuff, listening to sermons all the time. And so something that kind of where we can meet in the middle is a date that we've really had a fun time is either bowling or like I said, mini golf. So in those kind of scenarios where you have time to, it's yes, we're doing something, yes, we're enjoying time with each other, but we also have this other time where we're able to kind of talk about this sermon that we heard on church or this sermon that you listened to the other day. And so that's been a huge kind of place where we can have fun, continue to, enjoy the time where we're dating, but then also, grow closer to oh, wow, I really liked what you said about that sermon. Cool. And so that's where it's felt like we've kind of grown in the ability to do that.
Yeah, that's good. So kind of, I want to ask two questions kind of in the same question here, because someone alluded at the front end that sometimes it's easier just to do things in groups. Maybe you can do things that are fun with other people and still be oh yeah, we're actually on a date here. We're just experiencing it with other people. So I would love for you to talk about where that has worked for you, how you like hanging out with other people. When does it work, or has it ever gotten weird? And then two, just straight up in that, whether with other people or just one-on-one, what are your most creative, cost-effective ways to do something fun on a date? So something that might be out of the box, but has just worked for you, where you've just really been, actually, most people that I've talked to actually enjoy this, because people need to get your notes app out and start typing these out, because I know I need some ideas as well. So what do you guys think about that?
Okay, so one of my favorites, and I feel like I'm a broken record, but pickleball is such a blast. And
we have heard so much about pickleball, Morgan.
I love it.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. But it's so fun to play doubles. So you play with your partner, and then versus two other friends or another couple. And it's been so fun to do that and recognize in a competitive environment, how does this person do with winning or losing? I'm a sore winner and a sore loser. So they learn a lot about me in those moments, which is great. I'm also working on it. But
I was is this working for you? Yeah, okay.
Slow and steady.
Sounds good.
Slow and steady. But another really fun date that I've had is doing trivia. And so going to wherever they have trivia, and answering questions or learning how little I know about places in the world. And I'm I'm a little embarrassed that I don't know where Canada is or whatever. I know where Canada is, just as a silly example. But having that ability to laugh at yourself, learn something wild about the other person, and then be able to have a team around you. It's been fun for me to learn the questions other people ask the person I'm dating, how they respond to those questions, and how they act around my friends. I really respect my friends' opinions and want them to know the people that I'm with. And so my friends are really great at asking questions. I'm learning to be better at that. And so it's great to have that support in the person I'm dating. But obviously, number one choice, pickleball.
Okay. Would recommend. Okay, we'll take it.
No, that's great. And I agree with you, because I think if you don't surround yourself in community, you don't have the opinions to go off of the people that love you, who already support you. They should have some voice in your dating relationship, and they wouldn't be able to have that if they don't know you from Adam. So you need to bring them around your friends, number one. Some group dates that I've done, it's funny that you say that, because I've never actually thought of them as dates. I'm just oh, me and Trevor are going to go do this together. But any board game night, really fun one, because you can be competitive. Yeah. You can also just have fun and be silly together. I was going to say, if you're a broken record with pickleball, I'm a broken record with Ultimate Frisbee. Tommy plays Ultimate Frisbee with me. Nice. That's a good, fun group thing to do. Any hike, it doesn't always have to be adventurous, though. Trevor and I recently went to a silent book club, and that was cool. You just go to a place with a whole bunch of strangers, and you all bring a book, and you read it, and then after an hour, you talk about your own book with people, and it was really fun. So I did that. We were all reading our own different books. So fun dates like that. But yeah, dating and community, it's just good to surround yourself with others who can influence your friends, ask good questions, and help you point out things that, did you like that about him? Or that might be a yellow flag or a red flag. Like, but sometimes you need an objective opinion in order to see that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, some of the most fun that we have had has been going on, double dates or triple dates or something like that. And what we've found is it's super helpful to go on those dates with people who either know you like personally as like a single, before you were dating, or who, know her. And so in that, it's like, okay, I know things about you before that maybe, it feels like you aren't being yourself in this relationship. Or I really like, how you're interacting with her when you guys are doing this together. And so for us, that's really helped. We've done that a couple times with, people in our church and some of our friend community here, where it's been like, okay, like what you're saying, Bree, we're going to play a game together and just kind of, oh, how'd you guys meet? What was your guys' first date? How did that come, to play? And then we, talk about that with them. They talk about that with us. And so I think kind of those going on those dates with people who know you and clearly care about you and want to see you continue to, grow in the Lord and be more like Christ has been just so huge for us. It's been an encouragement. And then we talk about those after. How did you, like going on that date with, these guys? Okay, it seemed like they were interacting in this. These were some tips that they had. Okay, great. Can we do more of that in our relationship? And so I think we found a ton of fruit in that.
Yeah, that's really good. The two things that come to mind, one I haven't done, but I am so aspirational about doing this at some point, so some of you need to try it, is I read about this where people just get together and everyone has like 30 minutes to come up with their own TED Talk and you have to present it. And so just something that you're into, pickleball, some frisbee, something that you just love that you're going to be the expert on and you're going to share it. And bonus, if you actually create a presentation, maybe have a few slides, you're kind of talking it through. I just think that's such a fun way to get so many people's perspectives on things and learn a few new things, and it's probably hilarious. I am an expert on olives, y'all. If you need to hear all the things about olives, I will tell you, I will probably do a TED Talk at some point on it. So there you have it. The other thing I do all the time, and I've had mixed success in dates with this, I am a big fan of obscure learning experiences. So specifically like the museums that no one goes to. So here in our area, we have some museums that probably get about 6 people per year to tour them. So I like going, and they're super random, and no one's there except for some precious docent who's so desperate to talk to you because their day's been so boring. And you, again, learn something. They're usually free or like a donation. It's super attainable. You can go out for ice cream or do something afterwards. And so that's just something I would recommend because I think it's a little bit out of the box and gives people the chance. Like, it's something that basically neither of you will enjoy, so you don't have to argue about and you might surprisingly enjoy it. So it's kind of one of those things.
Or you can talk about how terrible it was.
Yeah, that's
something to talk about right there. So, well, you guys, you've done a great job of really putting some things on the table, talking from your own experience as well as what you would love to do maybe in the future in dates, and giving some pretty down and dirty tips. So thank you all for weighing in.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you for having me, Lisa.
Lisa.